So we didn't have a feminist movement in Cyprus, and looking through it historically, one issue was the colonialism in Cyprus, and every time women wanted to promote some of their rights, the answer from the men who were leading, the discourses there was, you cannot do this because by asking rights from your colonizer, you are legitimating him. So the women's issues since the British period were again very subdued, and this continued to this day. Of course, this does not mean that women are not agents in Cyprus. They've been doing a lot of work, and both at the universities level, also at the civil society level. Like the last 2 years, we've had a gender advisory team that works very closely with some of the UN and the advisors to the leaders and so on. And Ban Ki-moon, just to mention what Ahmed said about 2015, he mentioned this also in some of his reports and stressed the aspect of gender. But we have to also struggle all the time and move and so on. So women, in times of conflict, they become instrumentalized, and here I give some examples also of how they are depicted in national museums, in the public spaces where all the monuments of heroism and so on are dominating the space. Recently, I started some research on on looking at how some men experienced the conflict in Cyprus, because we talk a lot about women, and then here I have also some quotes from both Turkish Cypriot and Greek Cypriot women who also are very critical of the state. And a Greek Cypriot woman whose husband has been missing since '74 has told me many officials, all men and non-officials, knew the truth about our beloveds, but we ask them again today why they have not told us for the last 35 years. The state has exploited politically our pain. So you see how they view this, and this is something that we find in other societies as well. And the Turkish Cypriot, I brought up my children without a father. He has been missing since '63, and we don't know to this day what happened to him. If he's dead, where is he buried and who killed him? So the cry of these women and their right to know is still there. Now, a Greek Cypriot prisoner of war was taken prisoner of war. He was taken to Ada 974. He says, I was ordered together with other prisoners to dig my grave. Can you imagine what this meant to my psyche and my masculinity? Decades later, this experience has marked my whole life. Our politicians are simply professional patriots who stand on public squares and talk about heroes. To this day, nobody asks us how we feel and how our families cope or do not cope with us, and the impact it has had on them. No one from the state cares. So there's a lot of cry here of unacknowledgement, and so there are I have many gendered also examples, which I hope will be soon a paper out. Now, and to conclude, I believe women's trans-border solidarity networks have started recognizing shared issues that need to be addressed jointly, such as gender roles, inequality, limitations and violations of women's rights, domestic violence, sex trafficking, and their desire for peace, dignity, and human security. There exists a need to form women's alliances across ideologies, class, religions, sexual orientation, and ethnicities, so as to strengthen democratic procedures and together create the much-needed feminist world movement. Such a movement will benefit the multi-ethnic and multicultural societies as a whole.
Feminism or other concentrations, could you just
Yes,
enlighten us about what's happening.
As I said, you know, we have at the civil society level, in both communities, the last decade or so, more women who started questioning the fact that their voice is not heard, but most importantly, their representation, where decisions are being made, is very low. In the Greek Cypriot side, in the parliament, we have only 6 women out of 50, and in the Turkish Cypriot, 3 women. So where are the women? Okay, so this shows what I also said, that we've got to look at the power structures. We want to look at the values that sustain these structures as well. The groups that have started working very intensely on addressing the gender issues are usually women who have studied abroad. Okay, one group in the Turkish Cypriot community called FEMA, with my organization, Hands Across the Divide, we do jointly a lot of activities, both in terms of activism in the street on issues of rights, but also on issues that have to do with militarization of the island. We believe that nationalism, militarization, capitalism go all hand in hand, you know, on the island. The one strengthens the other. And of course, we've done a lot of activities regarding demilitarization of the island. That's one aspect. We also do research to understand, because not all women, you know, because in a patriarchal system, both men, boys and girls are socialized into the same system. Okay, so girls as well as boys internalize, you know, the master narratives, what prevails in the mainstream society. So we need to desocialize and deconstruct and look at the experiences separately. We have a lot of work to do. Okay, at my university, it's only this year that we started the Masters in Gender Studies. And we've been struggling, some of us at the university, to ask, you know, the Senate that gender studies programs are legitimate scientific programs as other programs are as well. So we still have a long way. As Ahmed also said, the civil society needs re-energizing in both sides, but some of us will never give up. Yes.
Weird. Nope. Thank you. Maria, that great job. Very nice. Really helpful to go through those details. I mean, I thought I knew about feminist theory, and then I'm seeing this, and I've learned a lot. I wanted to tell a story about my center, as you know, at the Weatherhead Center for International Affairs, has a fellows program every year, and we invite people from all over the world to come and study. And often they're diplomats, but often they're people engaged in peace processes as well. And this year, we had a couple from Aceh, and I don't know if you know that in 2006 that conflict was resolved with the help of President Atasari.
Yeah.
And what was unique about this couple, she was the very first woman who's ever sat at a negotiating table. This was, and this had nothing to do with 1325 in the sense that she forced herself in there, or she made it, you know, wanted it known that a woman's voice had to be recognized. But what was so powerful about this woman and her husband, who was also part of the negotiating team, was that he was just as much a feminist as she was. And so it wasn't just she coming, and because they gave hundreds of talks all over the Boston area, and they did it with a combined voice. Both her voice, and she was brilliant, and she was articulate, and she was moving, and he was equally as powerful. And the fact that what struck me so is, feminism, and I think the downside is actually pitting men against women. I know you don't mean that, but I know in order to have our perspective known, sometimes that division is much more blatant than it maybe should be, given the fact that we are, my take is that we're all human beings, and that the dignity work can even transcend the gender divide, but I certainly understand the importance. But I just wanted to see what you think about the fact that this two couple made a decision, one man and one woman, that they are going to promote this 50% of the Aceh population. They're going to do it together, not just have her sit at the table and espouse and put on the table for discussion the issues.
I think what you're saying is something that we wish for and we desire, and it's the ideal. And what I want to also say that there are many men who are feminists, as there are many women who are not feminists, who have this genderless lens of